Hey y'all, it's Alec, the traveling civilian. As y'all can tell by the surroundings, I am no longer in Montana. We have arrived at our new work camping job in South Carolina. And we specifically took a job in very rural South Carolina because the elections are coming up and we're a little worried about the state of the country and how people are going to react no matter who wins. So we found an area that is very consistent with our political views and got a job in a small little town. This little town I don't think has 600 people, but it's a stop off when people are traveling up and down I-95 headed to Florida or headed back up north. So as you saw in the thumbnail and the title of this, we're talking about the post office and how they can affect elections. And what made me think of it is we are having a big problem with the post office and getting our ballots. The election is getting very close and I'm not sure we're going to get to vote. And I think that it causes people to be concerned if the post office is up to shenanigans again. I remember seeing videos of the post office dropping off mail-in ballots at 3 o'clock in the morning in Atlanta, Georgia. I believe that's where it was. Are they up to their same shenanigans? So I am going to tell you a little bit about what we're experiencing. But first, I thought I would check to see what ChatGPT said about the subject. ChatGPT is owned, I believe, and operated by Google. And so I would have thought if I asked ChatGPT if how the post office could interfere in the 2024 elections, that it would give me something like the post office does not interfere or is nonpartisan or any of that kind of stuff. But instead, it gave me a whole playlist on how the government / the post office could interfere with our elections. And then you can see if it's strangely close to what my wife and I are going through. So this is what ChatGPT said. That's what we'll start with. And then we will move on to what's happening in my life. So I'm going to summarize because it gave me a huge list of things, but I'm going to hit all the high points. It said, United States Postal Service plays a critical role in the elections, especially with the increase in mail-in voting. So then it listed how they could affect mail-in voting. Number one was delays in mailing. They could slow down ballots. Number two, they could put the wrong postmark or leave the postmark off. Many states require that the ballot be postmarked prior to the election. So if they left off the postmark or put the wrong postmark on the ballot, it could make that ballot non-countable. Number two, changes in United States Postal Service leadership or policies. Leadership change could be the appointment of a partisan postmaster general. I don't know anything about the postmaster, if he's partisan or not, but or if Biden even put him in office. I don't know. Operation adjustments like reducing overtime, removing sorting machines, limiting collection times, all that type of stuff could affect our ballots reaching their states. The county clerk's office, I believe, is where they go, in a timely manner and could make them non-countable. Number three, distribution of ballot access. They could have distribution errors or delays that could prevent people from receiving their ballots, which is kind of what we're going through. Confusion in ballot returns, as far as, do you put them in a mailbox or do they have to be in a secure drop box? You know, they could do last minute policy changes to either of those that could make it where your ballot is not delivered. Number 4 is their ChatGPT said there could be targeted disruptions in certain areas. Certain areas, like a red state, could have mail delays, or distribution in certain areas could be changed, slowed, or whatever. Like I saw in North Carolina on the news the other day, where they were finding ballots in storm drains and ditches. I don't know if they had been filled out or not filled out, but it doesn't matter. Those postal workers are making sure that whoever requested that ballot is not having the opportunity to vote. Number 5 is inconsistency of enforcement of rules. So that would be rules in ballot handling, their protocols, and then selective enforcement, meaning that in some areas they go, oh no, that's okay, go ahead and let that ballot through because it's missing XYZ, don't worry about it. Or in other areas, they would halt that ballot from being delivered or counted or whatever. So inconsistency in the enforcement of their own rules and regulations. And then the last one is insufficient staffing or funding, budget constraints in high volume areas, understaffing different areas that have a large number of ballots that they don't want. So those are the 6 different ways that ChatGPT said that the post office, United States Postal Service, could interfere with the 2024 elections. And I think that there are a lot more than that. But now, let me tell you what I'm dealing with, and you tell me in the comments below if you think ChatGPT has more information or Google has more information about what's really going on. So several weeks ago, I get notified by my mail service. So we're Escapees members, and all our mail is handled through Escapees. What Escapees does, it allows us to have an address, receive mail, to be able to vote, to get a driver's license, to register. And so most all the addresses Escapees is on Rainbow Drive in Livingston, Texas. Several weeks ago, the post office changed their policy that they are no longer going to accept mail that is like, my address was 234 Rainbow Drive and then my box number. My buddy's address was 247 Rainbow Drive and his box number. I got another friend that was at 164 Rainbow Drive, and basically the addresses were the different rows of boxes. Well, the post office now, all of a sudden, you know, we've been on the road for 6 years. All of a sudden, and Escapees has been around a lot longer than that. All of a sudden, in a critical election where there's a large number of mail-in ballots, the post office decides they are going to no longer deliver to all those addresses. They said everybody at Escapees has to have the same address. So they changed our address to 101 Rainbow Drive, our box number, Livingston, Texas, so on. So I called the registrar's office and I said, you know, they've changed. I got this letter from Escapees saying that the United States Post Office is no longer going to deliver to all these addresses, that we have to have the same address. And they said, well, you need to have your address on your driver's license and your voter registration changed to the updated address. I said, well, there's not time to do all that because Escapees has, Lord, over 100,000 or more members that use their mail service, because there are, at last census, I believe there was over 1 million people like my wife and I who live in an RV and work on the road. So, you know, there's mail service in Texas, there's mail services in Florida, and I know of mail services in South Dakota. So Escapees is, I think, by far the largest. And now all of a sudden the post office has decided that they're going to change our address less than 2 months before general election. So the registrar's office said they would have a discussion, or the county clerk's office, and so to call them back later in the week. So I called them back and they said, as long as you haven't changed your address and your address matches what's on your voter's registration card, they will send us a mail-in ballot. But we can no longer request them by mail. There's a form they've put up on their website at the county clerk. We have to download it. We were in Georgia at the time, and so we downloaded the form, filled it out, and mailed it to the county register. I called them, told them it was mailed. They said, well, we hope we receive it in time because you have to have the ballot returned to us before the election day. I said, okay. So I put the address of the job we're at here right now. Today is, let's see, what is today? Today is the 25th of October. So if I receive my ballot, then I'll go to the Federal Express or UPS and I'll overnight it back to the county clerk's office. But as of today, you can tell the sun is going down. It is 5:30. The post office has quit running. And our ballots have not arrived yet. So earlier this afternoon, I called the county clerk's office. They cannot confirm if they have received my request or if it has been mailed. All they said they had too many to keep up with. So, has the post office interfered with the 2024 election? Did my request that was mailed to the county clerk, did they ever receive it? Because this time of year, the only thing that's really going to the county clerk is people that are requesting mail-in ballots, or if when all the mail-in ballots were processed and mailed out, did the post office actually send them out? There's no way to tell. I do find it suspicious that the Democrats are working very hard to change Texas from red to blue, and that just, 2 months prior to one of the largest elections that had the highest consequences, the post office changes our address that has not been a problem for as long as I can remember. It makes you wonder what's really going on, and am I going to get to vote? ChatGPT seemed to know how to do it, and now it appears to be happening. Put in your comments what you think. Please remember to get out and vote. If I was in Texas, I would vote in person, but we have to make a living, and our job is on the road and keeps us moving from place to place. Y'all stay safe. Vote your heart, vote your conscience. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but make sure you go out and vote. be careful.